For the son of a thousand spears!
Hi again. Welcome back to Oh No, It's Perfect. My goal with this channel is to reach out to gamers like me, and not only give them advice to use in video games, but also to give them things they can apply in real life. Some things will be applicable to both. Art imitates life and vice versa after all. I know lots of us don't see video games as a form of art after years of conditioning through school and work. Many see gaming as nothing but a drug that'll waste your time at best and consume your life at worst. To rebuttal that, I'd ask these people why they do anything purely for fun and relaxation. Why do they watch sports or eat ice cream? Why they go on Netflix or go to art museums? If video games are such a worthless time sink, why do we spend more money and time on things that bring us less satisfaction and fun? I don't get a raging hangover when I play Chivalry 2, and I certainly don't spend upwards of $30 every time I play. Everyone's got their hobbies. Video games can absolutely be addictive and a waste of time if you let them, though. We've all been somewhere on the video game addiction pipeline before. Empty food wrappers and trash surrounding your cave, the smell of sweat, 3-day-old pizza, and your collection of piss jugs you've been continuously adding to, Ray LaFleur style.
Ricky, you know I'll help you, buddy. But you know the deal, too. Over.
Deal, you want that? Just help me out. Over.
You know the deal, Rick.
It gets to points where you wallow in your own filth because you can't be bothered to spend 2 minutes away from your grind in Destiny. Reports of kids literally soiling themselves because they can't get themselves off the game for more than 2 minutes. I've never been hooked that bad, but I've definitely been addicted at one point or another. One time I spent an entire day playing Smash Ultimate Online from the moment I got up to the moment I passed out. 12 hours straight on a game that made me rage more often than not. I pulled multiple all-nighters in 1 week playing Grand Theft Auto 5. One morning at school, something was happening behind me in the hallways, so my right thumb instinctively moved as if to click the right stick and look behind my character. Having autism didn't help either. 9 times out of 10, my special interest would be a video game, and it was all I could talk or think about, because everything else sucked in comparison. I'm sure you've all heard of that one experiment called Mouse Utopia. Mice were given 2 types of water, one of which was laced with heroin. When placed in empty cages with absolutely nothing meaningful to do, they would overdose on the heroin water almost every single time. When the mice were placed in an environment with toys, things to do, things like other mice to play with, big colorful balls, that sort of thing, they wouldn't touch the heroin water. They had things to do. They had meaningful interactions with other mice. They had friends. Just like humans, we crave that sense of satisfaction and belonging, that stimulus. And when it's not fully satisfied, we turn to other means of coping. It was a groundbreaking discovery about the nature of addiction. Just like drugs, if nothing exciting or meaningful is present in your life, you'll sink into video games for the more tolerable reality they offer. Although video game addicts are much better off than drug addicts, it's an uncomfortable thought that many people like their virtual lives better than their real lives. Many like myself will spend months or even years at a time completely avoiding video games in fear that they'll become that same person they were, surrounded by piss jugs. Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Time is precious compared to your money. It's not even a contest. Unlike money, you can't get your time back. It's your life, and it's time you start valuing your life and your time more than you do now. One of the greatest insecurities people have with gaming is they think it's a waste of time. Sports fans don't get nearly the amount of flack gamers do, and I personally think gaming is a more valuable hobby. It's scientifically shown to make you a better problem solver and to vastly improve hand-eye coordination. If you want to talk about spending your time wisely, gaming would be the ideal hobby, outside of athletic pursuits and developing marketable skills, of course. It's a fun, interactive way to relax and bond with others. There are countless ways you can completely waste not only your money but your precious time with video games, but it's up to the judgment of you, the player, what constitutes time well spent. And you know what? I'm here to sharpen that judgment for you. Take Grand Theft Auto Online, for instance. This game is widely popular and GTA 5 is one of Rockstar's greatest hits. But it's a minefield for wasted time. Its story, graphics, and gameplay are all top-notch, plenty to do with or without our friends, but a lot of things need money. You know, that's kind of point of the game, being an up-and-coming criminal, slowly building your way to the top, affording the finest apartments, yachts, jets, and flying motorcycles. Lots of stuff in the game, however, ranges from fleetingly joyous to completely irrelevant to your gaming experience. Lots of people enticed by luxury items will realize just what a waste of money they were after they already spent the money or bought the shark cards.
Did we ask for a key or a fucking hour? Hey, we got some motherfucking buyer's remorse out here. You can't fucking hustle a hustler.
Shark cards are basically a shortcut to getting the funds for things like game items, vehicles, guns, apartments. It's trading real-world money for in-game money. For many people, Grand Theft Auto is a wealth simulator. Everybody wants to be their own virtual Andrew Tate clone. You know, in the early days of GTA Online, everybody had a Bugatti in their garage since it was the most expensive car in the game at the time. A status symbol, if you will. Something that was easily acquired, especially since there were all sorts of glitches that could make you more bank than the Rothschild family. My personal drug of choice was the motorcycle duplication glitch. I'd just keep copying and selling and copying and selling until I could afford the most expensive penthouse and cars, as I'm sure everyone else did. It allowed gamers to truly ask the question, "What color's your Bugatti, bruh?" Mine changed colors constantly. Sometimes it was a deep purple, sometimes it was black and red. One of my favorites was the frost white with a light blue, Colgate-style biatch. This was something my 14-year-old ass couldn't dream of affording at the time in real life. At the time, almost every high schooler lived vicariously through their GTA Online character. I truly think Rockstar knew about the dupe glitches the whole time, but just let them run rampant for a little bit. They wanted to give players a taste of that high life before nuking everyone's accounts and locking all this stuff behind endless hours of play, or direct payments to the company. The most expensive thing you can waste your money on currently is the Luxor Deluxe, a solid gold private jet. Complete with fake cigars to smoke, fake champagne to sip, while you browse the fake internet. The plane itself has really bad handling because of the solid gold fuselage, but who cares? It's luxury. Another status symbol to let other people know that you're better. Everyone is gonna know who's boss when you show up in the Luxor Deluxe. Or they won't give a shit and they'll shoot you down either way. All for the low, low price of $10 million. Or $100 of real-life money. More expensive than the game itself. So naturally people go, well, screw that. That is 6 hours of the average person's pay. Imagine that, 6 to 8 hours lost just because you wanted a fake jet. You could have taken that 6 to 8 hours and learned a new skill. Or you could have taken that money and put it into a business or your family or something else that would benefit you way more than a fake private jet. And you want to know the real kicker to all of this? Once you get the jet, there's no one to fly it for you except yourself. That means unless you have some dumbass friends to chauffeur you around the skyline, you're basically sitting in the airport drinking your fake champagne or smoking your fake cigars. After your hard-earned money is spent, you can't even get the experience you thought you were paying for. Such a wasted opportunity. You could have had mile-high parties with your friends, drinking, smoking, having a good time, looking at the best views this game engine can offer, hiring strippers, feeling like a real top G. Why can't players plan heists or make business decisions from the comfort of their luxury private jet? That would be peak GTA fantasy. And then you ask yourself, why doesn't Rockstar just give this to the players? Why don't they deliver on this? This would be such a good opportunity. And you want to know what I think the reason is? I think it's just like the glitches back in the early stages of GTA Online. They want you to have a taste of that high life, but never the full meal. They want to continue milking the fan base for all their money, have them salivating at the mouth at the mere thought of what they could get with their hard-earned money. Next thing you know, you've spent 10 games worth of your hard-earned money on this cash cow. left with nothing but that empty feeling inside you usually get when all your friends have logged off and you're just in a lobby alone. You know the true value and fun to be had in this game is usually had with friends, usually had when you do stupid stunts. Racing cartoonishly colorful scooters off the highest mountain, parachuting out of an airplane with your friend while someone else with a jet tries to splatter you all. Just like in real life, if you want to completely waste your time, focus on the material, focus on things, focus on status, rather than experience. That should be a question you're always asking yourself whenever you get into any game. Is this something I want to experience? Because that's really what you're paying for. Everything else is pixels on a screen. It doesn't matter if you have the best gear, the best cars, the best loot. It's all going to go away as soon as you turn off the machine. I bought Chivalry 2 because I wanted a simulation of medieval combat. I wanted all the glory and none of the consequences. You've probably been toiling away at work and probably thinking of the catharsis you would have if you could just pick up a piece of horse shit and throw it in someone's fucking face. I'm sure many people log into this game and when they feel their controller vibrate and they understand that they just crushed the fucking skull of their enemy, they're probably thinking about their boss or their coworker or that asshole who keeps harassing them at work. Or maybe they're thinking about their landlord or that dick who cut them off in traffic earlier or that politician that the news is telling them not to like. And you can sit on your high horse and say you have the moral high ground. You can deny that you have that heart of darkness that lies in us all. That boiling, melting pot that could tip over at a moment's notice. Under the right conditions, anyone can become a monster. God help us all. Video games are a healthy way to quell that rage. My girlfriend tells me all the battle sounds and all that screaming and yelling is probably not good for my brain, but in my mind it's much better than doing something similar in real life. And believe me, if I didn't have this outlet, I probably would have by now. It doesn't even have to be violent experiences. I played over 700 hours of Red Dead Redemption 2 simply because I like the aesthetic. I want my own patch of land, I want a horse to ride around on. I want the feeling of hunting my own food, and the feeling of buying a button-up shirt for $1.50. In fact, that game helped me realize that I want those things in real life. Imagine that, a video game inspiring you to go outside. The only danger we can truly face is if we go too far. Just like anything else, too many video games can destroy you completely. This is the side of video games that too many gamers don't want to talk about, because it sounds way too much like the propaganda they give you, that video games are the cause of school shootings and mental breakdowns in our children. If a simulation gets too good, people will naturally choose it over real life, and it will completely encompass their lives. Everybody saw what happened with World of Warcraft players. Everyone at the time had that friend who just disappeared into WoW, never to be seen again. Talk about the Matrix. I think that should have been a warning sign early on for this country. Instead of dealing with the fuckfest we made for them, they decided to go into low-polygon virtual worlds like WoW and RuneScape. Instead of pissing in nature as God intended, they decided to relieve themselves in 2-liter plastic bottles that used to contain Coca-Cola. How long until the air gets so fucked up that people need to buy their oxygen to function in society and go to work? How long until everyone looks like they're in the second half of WALL-E, only difference is they have a VR strapped to their face, in a whole different world entirely, numbed on drugs and alcohol? If you want to consider life the ultimate game like many people do, then you have to come to the conclusion that many people in their day-to-day lives are being farmed. Do you really blame them for wanting to escape into a virtual world for a bit, where their mistakes aren't nearly as harshly punished or ridiculed, where they only have to watch their avatar get hurt rather than their own physical selves, where they can have the basic trust and understanding that this piece of media will give them something that satisfies them, that helps them combat the pale, depressing slog of the classroom or the office, something like movies, plays, books, comedy shows, and concerts. Everyone needs their place. Everyone needs their safe haven. For many people, that place is nowhere to be found, and if they don't find it for themselves, they will very shortly go off the deep end. You may or may not have noticed, but I am unafraid to get dark on this channel. But the channel's name is called Oh No It's Perfect. You may be asking me, where's the perfect part? What about this is perfect? I'm sure you've heard the term, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5 in the King James Bible, a verse many people don't really understand that well. All throughout human history, you've seen meekness crushed. In history class, we've seen people who are weak and ineffectual absolutely stomped out of existence. In this modern world, meekness will get you nowhere. It makes you a small, ineffectual human being. One thing you have to remember, though, is the Bible is a very, very old book. The word meek was not used the same way we use it now. Roughly translated from the Greek mikos, it refers to a person who has a sword but can keep it in his sheath. Metaphorically, it's a person who can hold power but can also use it only when absolutely necessary. Being a weak person does not mean that you are a good person. It just means you can't commit evil, at least not in the way that more powerful people can. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have just as much hatred for non-Aryan people as Adolf Hitler did. But thankfully, unlike Hitler, they don't have nearly the charisma or the backing that he did in the 1930s and 40s. We don't say these people are good because they didn't perform mass genocides of people like Hitler did. You could argue that if they were in the Führer's shoes, they probably would have done the same thing, and that makes them just as bad. Video games are a modern-day power we have over the system. If we use this power haphazardly, we may never touch grass again. We'd neglect friends, family, and finances alike. Games tickle our reward center in such a way that we don't have to rely on a corrupt system for our happiness. $60 little bundles of dopamine that are supposed to be given to us at our fucking jobs. These levels of happiness and satisfaction can take over your whole life, though. Some people wonder why they should talk to actual girls instead of just buying a porn game in the VR headset. Why should they talk to real people when they have social links and persona? And they're pretty much guaranteed to like the other people because their dialogue is written by skilled writers. These are all backwards way of approaching video games. They're meant to be a form of stress relief and escapism, not complete replacement. This would be us using our sword when we don't need to. Be honest with me, how many of you would be making more money or spending more time with family if it didn't interfere with your game time? I'm here to tell you that real life is the best video game. It has the best graphics, it has the best leveling system, it has the most honest morality. There's nothing you can get more immersed into than real life. It's such an addicting game, in fact, that it is physically difficult to leave it. Whether through suicide or through an out-of-body experience, there's plenty of tricks that this game will play on you to keep you enclosed in it. Your character comes auto-equipped with instincts that will override your free will if you try and leave the game. The lore is so complex and secretive that no one can fully agree on an actual canon. In fact, none of us can really agree on who developed this game, if there was a developer at all. I personally believe the developer came into the game himself, as a bit of a showcase to show people what their characters can actually do. But this is just a beta test for the next game, and once the time comes for the service to crash on this game, the developer will come back and take all of those who trusted him enough to make the next game the best, even if we don't deserve it. Even though most of this player base is the most toxic in all of gaming, even though we'll grief other players to high hell because of the things they believe and the color of their avatar's skin. No matter what you believe, though, life gives us so many chances. And as a wise man once said, I pity the poor bastard who would choose Minecraft over this, who would choose Grand Theft Auto over this. For those who can't see the magnificence of this free-to-play game, no matter their circumstances in life. And always remember, if your video games are pissing you off, you could just retreat back to the OG video game, which is real life. I hope you guys continue to do both. And as always, I hope to see you next time. Bye!
We have destroyed their trebuchets! The Mason Armada is free to pass! Our Duke has been badly wounded!
My mum is not a hobby horse.